Okay, back to picking the most appropriate method. So in this problem, since I don't have a y equals equation, and y, again, is not easily solved for, we could solve for it, but it's not necessarily the easiest thing to solve for. I will say that the most appropriate method would be finding the x and y intercepts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The x-intercept, again, is where it crosses the x-axis. Remember, that's 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0. Y is always 0. So we're going to keep the x part and put 0 in for the y part. So that means that we'll get 3x equals 6 and divide by 3 on both sides, and we get x is 2. Find the x-axis and put 2 on the x-axis. Now for the second part, we're going to find the y-intercept. So our y-intercept is going to be where it crosses the y-axis. That's where we plug 0 in for the x portion. So when we plug in 0 for the x portion, we'll divide by -1 on both sides, and we get y is -6. So y is -6, and then we connect those together, and we have our graph. A couple more of these. On this one, in all honesty, you could choose the x and y intercepts on this one, or you could say slope-intercept form. Both of them are manageable methods on this one. I'm going to go ahead and do slope-intercept just because I like to graph in slope-intercept form whenever I can. This is y equals 3/7 x plus 3. So that means that my m is 3/7 and my b is 3. We're going to always graph the b part first. So I'm going to plot 3 on my y-axis, and then I'm going to do rise over run. Or remember, this can be 3/7 or -3 over -7. So I'll climb 3, 1, 2, 3, and run 7. Or I can fall 3, 1, 2, 3, and go left -7. Notice how I have a positive slope, and I did have a positive slope in my slope-intercept form. In the next problem, this one I'd have to say I would be going ahead and doing the x and y intercepts because y isn't easily solved for. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for x and y intercepts. So the x-intercept, where I keep the x portion and I plug 0 in for the y. Now on this one, my answer of 0 is actually on the right-hand side, so I just get x is equal to -3. So on the x-axis, I'll plot -3. For the second portion of this, I'm going to find the y-intercept. Y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and so that means that x is 0, and we keep the y portion. Now notice, some of you like to divide by 3, but you can't do that yet until you move this number to the other side because you have to get y by itself. And you need to move the 3 over, otherwise you can't divide by 3 because you don't have the single term by itself. So you end up with 3 equals 3y, and then you divide by 3, and we get y is 1. So on the y-axis, I plot my 1, and I'll connect those together, and I'll be finished. This is the last example for graphing with the appropriate method. I would say, again, we're going to do x and y intercepts just like we did in the last problem because y could be solved for, but it's not necessarily the easiest thing to solve for. So we'll go ahead and put 0 in for our y. That allows me to find the x-intercept. So I end up getting 2x equals 0, and so x is equal to 0. Well, on my x-axis, that would be right here. Now, if you go ahead and find the y-intercept on this one, we're going to start to run into a slight problem because I end up with 0. Get 4y equals 0, divide by 4, and y is 0. Well, I can't get anywhere with this because I'll end up with a 0, 0. So I must take this and solve for y. So that means I'll have to subtract 2 off both sides, 2x off both sides. 4y equals -2x. Divide by 4, divide by 4, and so I end up with a -1/2 x. Now that allows me to use the slope formula and come up with another point. So I can go down 1 to the right 2, or I can go up 1 to the left 2 and connect my dots for my line.